me, it's only been that I had to learn Instagram and get on board, and I tried, as everybody knows, forever not to do that, but it became apparent that well, one, I did it for fun, and to get my daughter and my little nephew to teach me how to do it, which was kind of funny. They were sending me emails saying, you're not doing that right, and I still obviously don't have it completely right, but then it became sort of a hobby and fun, and try to come up with an idea of something each day to Instagram. But I think it's when I did Chasing Life, all the actors were sitting in the room, and these are like people who are really working type actors, like they were talking about all their pilots, and they were trying to figure out which pilot to do, and I was like, oh, I've never been in that situation. But the interesting thing is people have been telling me that when they go on auditions, that people really look at your followers, which is shocking to me. Because, I think you can even buy I haven't bought any followers. Which I haven't, because I like the game of it. In fact, when it switched to 10,000, I was bummed because I couldn't see every day the 3 more people that had joined in. But so that part for acting, I think, is very strange. And I actually took an acting class a few years ago, and somebody from Warner Brothers or something came in and kind of said that too, that was sort of a deal. So who knows if that's ever going to be. And now that I'm kind of in an older echelon, I don't think, if you were like probably an ingenue, or they would want you to lead in something, that would probably be a bigger problem. Where now I'm going to be the moms and then the grandmoms and who knows what else. Well, I think it has been evolving a little bit. I think actually, I didn't see it back then, but I think they started with just 2 people sitting on the couch drinking coffee. I think it was very simple like that. And in many ways, I think that the thing that's great about a soap opera is that it's is when they concentrate on the personal relationships and the family relationships. And on that particular job, that's my favorite thing to do. My favorite thing are the emotional stories with my brother, my mother, the whoever. Those are my favorite. The love stories. That's to me what it's about. And I, for whatever reason, I'm drawn to that. And although I do think it would be nice to laugh more and have a little more comedy here and there, but sometimes you get a little something. But cell phones have become a huge thing. Like even when we're on the set, the doctor's nurse's station thing, and there's all these. Sometimes there'll be like 3 hardline phones in that little thing, and I think it's so funny. Like, do you even see these phones anymore? The phones that I have, here at the house, I got from Radio Shack, the little teeny little, that you plug in. These are like the big thing with a bunch of buttons. It's so funny. But so now they always have it on the cell phone, and when those cell phones ring or they text or anything on the show, they actually don't. So we just start saying our lines, and in the script it says the phone. So I'll say my line, and they'll be like, oh, my phone. But there's no buzz or beep or anybody cueing you or anything. So, but when it first started a couple years ago, it was funny that I thought, oh my God, we're trying to be so modern. We're incorporating our texting or whatever. But now it seems more normal. And now I think they're doing little bubbles with the texting, which I think is very groovy, who did that, like 24 or something, I don't remember. But I don't know. I think that there's a place for this format, and I think it works in daytime because people are home, and you sort of like these ongoing stories that you can follow and see what your favorite people are up to, and how it evolves. And they showed, in fact, my daughter sent a screenshot the other day of my mother holding Patch and Kayla's baby, Stephanie, the baby, and Katie sent it to me, and we were talking about it, and I just thought, gosh, Peggy McKay, I have known forever. So for me, these relationships are real relationships too. That's why now when we've gone through this story with Peggy with Alzheimer's and all these things, it's heartbreaking for me as a character, but also the person who plays her, because I love this woman. So to think that she could really be like that or whatever is heartbreaking for me. So they can add, groovier little locations and whatever, but I always thought that when they would blow up stuff or some big thing, I think people really want to see more of the personal relationships with people more than they want to see things blowing up. Or people who have taped it that want to watch it after work after a hard, stressful day. I read the paper every day, every morning. It's horrible. It's so upsetting. Or you turn the news on. We had local news on recently. It was boom, 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 boom. Terrible, 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 terrible. They don't even hardly give you the panda was born. It was the shooting, this. It makes it a terrifying place to live. So I think daytime, if we can have like some love and stuff, it's kind of nice. Well, that's a funny one, actually. I was like, yes, okay, well, not exactly that. That's why Mandy came on board with me, because I honestly would have no idea how to do it. And Mandy's great about giving me ideas, or we talk about like this particular thing where a reader will write in and ask us questions, and we think, okay, that's a great idea. I'll write about that, or like the last one we did on cleaning out the closet. I mean, my friend Cynthia, one of the first 5 years that I met her, probably, this is actually interesting, sort of interesting. Could be interesting. But when I left Days of Our Lives the first time, so in 1992, they gave me all my wardrobe. And we went out to my car like with just bundles of stuff. And it went in the closet of my house, but then I got pregnant the next month and pretty much didn't wear any of that. And then when the baby was like 2 weeks old, we moved from the house and it all went to storage, and we lived in this random thing for like 9 months, and then the stuff comes back to me, and I have all these clothes now I haven't worn in like a year and a half, 2 years, and they were expensive. I knew they were expensive clothes because that's when they used to spend money on clothes like Escada and all this stuff, so I could never get rid of them. And she came to, in fact, I remember this so vividly. I think the day that I actually left the show was in the Brady house, or somebody's house, and it was me saying goodbye to everybody, and I think I was wearing this yellow Escada skirt and jacket, and mind you, when we rehearsed that scene, I was sobbing because I didn't really want to leave the show, and all my friends were there, and I was saying goodbye. It was a horrible thing, and but like that particular outfit I had forever because I knew it was expensive and I didn't know what to do with it. And so Cynthia came to my house and got rid of everything. I mean, I had so much stuff in that closet, I couldn't even move my clothes, and I didn't wear any of them. I mean, it's not really, Escada's not really my lifestyle look. Anyways, I'm wearing this is from Target. And so, and then with my ongoing arm issues, I took a long sleeve and I cut them shorter. This is my new thing. Now I'm just going to cut all the sleeves off of things to give me the right length. But what really inspired me this time to write that blog was my daughter Katie came to me with this Poshmark app, and that she thought it was so cool, and I thought, God, this would be really a great thing for people. And somebody actually bought something from mine that I'm sending out today, which is so kind of exciting and funny because I'm not really in the resale clothing business, but it is a great way to inspire you to get rid of your stuff. And I really, reading Cynthia's comments in the blog, Mandy contacted her to add her 2 cents, and I went and read the blog to read her 2 cents because she's right, and I have way too much stuff in my closet still. Like, honestly, I could really, I have like this many white shirts and I wear probably this many, or the same things over and over, and I think I actually get stuck. So I find myself wearing the same things all the time, and I need to edit some more, so I'm going to get to that. But so about my blog. Mandy and I work very well together coming up with ideas, and some things I had kind of coming in, and then I have some weeks where I can't think of anything, and she's great at like an idea or having heard somebody say something or remembering something. And when we get the comments and we write back to people, or people comment and it gives me ideas to write things. So it's kind of it's all a sort of collaborative effort. And I have to say, I have thought many times I should do it like twice a month, because once a week is hard. It's a lot to come up with, but I couldn't do it alone, and I couldn't upload a video. So if Mandy ever quits on me, we'll be writing only. All these will be gone. I think hugely, actually, and it's funny because since I just said that I was not on the show a while back. One of the things that happened when I was on the show the first time was when Patch died, they put me with Charlie Shaughnessy Shane, because my sister was gone, and all of a sudden there were these 2 parts of these big couples, and I thought it was so horrible. I mean, I love him. Him and I are, I want to name my 3rd child Charlie. I love him so much, but not that he's a father, of course. No, I'm kidding. But no, I really just adore that guy. So, but I just was so idealistic about Kayla, and I thought she would never do this, and And then a new regime came on, and since I was holding out and signing my contract to make sure that they did the story right by Kayla, they let me go then when the new person came in. So I kind of shot myself in the foot. But I have always loved these two characters, and I think that they have something, Stephen and I have something different. I mean, when we have any scenes together, because we're so connected, and what people don't really know so much about him is he is like the sweetest, most sensitive. He sends me pictures of his grandbabies all the time, and he'll tell me like, "Oh, Dampa, come here!" Like he'll do like impersonations of his little grandson. He's just like the sweetest guy like that. And the other day I walked in and he was sitting in the set, and he started crying, and I was like, "Oh, what happened? Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And he goes, "I just listened to Dylan, his daughter. I heard her on the radio. She was being interviewed on a New York station. And oh my God, she was so great." And he was just crying. I just like put my arm around him and just like, "Oh, jeez." I mean, he's just a very sensitive, sweet guy, and people don't know that about him. But I've always known that about him. But we also, he comes here on the weekends. We run our stuff. We work it. We'll say, I'll say things when we're running lines. And he'll be like, no, like that's not English what you just said. I mean, but we're always like, which makes me laugh hysterically. And we just are so connected like that, and it's really special. And we both, I think we're both very invested in how these couples are, because this couple is. But I will tell people that I always thought like, why do they have to break them up? Because I mean, I've been married for 30 years next month, and I think it's better and better as we get older. Why can't we just do that? But in daytime TV and drama, I guess that's not enough drama. And so they may break us up for different reasons or different things, obstacles come in our way, but I don't think that they will ever stop loving each other. So whatever obstacles happen, that will always be there, and I think they'll always be working their way back to each other. So people might get mad at things that happen along the way, and I'm sure they have over the years, but we always find our way back. And I think people have to understand that that's what makes it drama, and that's what makes it a soap, and that's, if everybody was just happy and that was that, then we would all have nothing to talk about. Stephen and I actually really pay attention in the story that if we feel, I had a thing recently where it was like later in the week, a show that was coming up, and it bothered me. I didn't think that Kayla would ever say those things. And for days and days, it bothered me. And I kept like dreading that I was going to learn this script. And that finally I went to Albert, our producer, and I told him about it. And he was like, "Well, gosh, let's work on it. What?" And then Josh, the writer, walked up. He's so funny. He like walks our whole building. I keep asking him like, "Do you have 10,000 steps?" Because geez, but I think that's the way he thinks. So he just is walking around all the time. And he was like, let's talk about it. Let's whatever. And they totally rewrote the scenes and changed it because it didn't feel right. And that's what I think Stephen and I have. We have a visceral feeling of what's right for these people. And so if it's worth fighting for, we fight for it. But we just try. I mean, sometimes we read them and we just think, oh, God, I have no idea what I'm going to do with that. And then the two of us come together, especially when we go to tape. It just is there for us. And a lot of times I feel like I have to just let everything go at that moment and just focus and listen. Because that's what we all forget. It's listening. But we get so wrapped up in what's my line and what am I doing? And where then if I can let all of it go and just connect and listen. And that's when we do our best work, I think, when we both do that. But it takes a lot of, oh my God, laughs and crying and wow, what are we doing to get to that point? Well, they never did, ever. And my husband and I don't talk about it. And even when I tell him more about the show now than I ever have. And it's like when our son was learning life science, and when he didn't get it, there was just this glazed look over his face. And that's like Michael. I'll be telling him the story, and I can just see him kind of go, like, what? And he starts, did you pick up my shirts? Like whatever. It's just not in our thing. And I always joke that it's like I worked at a bank because we never talked about it. My kids never came to the set. We never watched the show. They don't watch the show, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that has been the whole deal. And just recently, in the last month, Matthew needed to pick up something that I had. So I said, well, if you want to come by the studio. And it's funny, it doesn't even dawn on me to ever invite them. And he was so funny. It really took me back because he was so funny because he was just like, wow, this is really cool. And he came out on the set and he was like, wow. And I was like, geez, is he like from, no man's land? Like, I mean, has he never seen this? And I don't get it. And so he thought it was very cool. And everybody was like, oh, your son's so sweet. And I was like, yes, I don't know why I never. And my daughter keeps saying she's going to come, but she doesn't. And Michael came one time when we were on Sunset Gower in like 1986 or 7 or something. And I think Stephen, he came, and when he was waiting in the green room, it was like Stephen and I were having a kissing scene or something, and he was like, but that's the only time he's been there. And so no, but then Katie now, it's funny because Katie now, I told her about the flashbacks and that these were fun. So now she is TiVoing it, or whatever you call it, DVRing it or something or other. And she sends me things all the time. She just sent me the other day, as I was telling you, the pictures of, or maybe even the video of my mother, Peggy McKay, with the Stephanie baby. Because I've also told Katie that I was super pregnant with her. Right? It was like all that thing was right to leave to go have her. So it's kind of cool, I think, to see your mom pregnant with you. I mean, it's all kind of weird. It's weird that it's all been documented, but so, and she just told me the other day, she goes, I'm really into the show. I'm really excited to be watching it. So it's funny. I mean, she's going to be 26 this year, so it took that long. It took that long for me to let them in. But it just, you know what? I have actor friends, but I don't hang out with actors. It's not my life. It's just not my life. That's why I love Michael Bruno, because we're like girlfriends that gossip and talk about acting life, where I don't have anybody else that I do that with. It's just never been my life. No, kidding. It's funny because a friend of mine just did an Instagram of her daughter living in an empty nesting, and they were kind of boo-hooing it, and I said, and I wrote back saying, it'll get better and then it'll get great. Because that is the truth. I remember when our son, who just turned 28 this month, when he first went to college, I thought, oh my God, we should have another baby. I can't believe we're at this junction. I mean, thank God we didn't, but that's what I really did think at that time. And then when Katie went to college, I made a point to not call her very much and let her have her grown-up time, whatever. She came home at Thanksgiving and read me the riot act about what was my problem, that I was like ditching her, and why didn't I call her? And so oh my gosh, I thought I was trying to let you grow up. And then Matt, he went locally, but it was weird. There wasn't a big move out to college because he went to a school like 15 miles from here. And so he just kind of kept taking stuff and whatever. And in fact, I think one day I was shooting the Bay here, and he was going down the driveway with things, you know what I mean? It was weird. And then he called me one day about a week into college, and he said, oh, I left some aftershave or something. If you're ever in this area, I go, actually, I think I'll be driving by there today, And I went to see him and gave it to him, and I like hugged him, and I was so choked up. And I turned around and thought, on to my life, and I have not looked back. It is the greatest thing. 2 of my kids live close here, so I see them a lot, and we have always had a Sunday night dinner thing with our kids, always. When they were in high school and they'd be out with their friends all weekend, we'd say, okay, but Sunday night is family night. And we'd always go to this one Mexican restaurant forever and a day. So they still now, they call and say, or we'll come back from being somewhere and they'll be here to go to dinner on Sunday night. So that part's very sweet. And Katie's been doing my dental work. If anybody's been following my Instagram, they know. So I've been seeing her a lot, and so it's okay because I see them a lot. If I didn't see them at all, it'd probably be a lot sadder. But I have said to people, and if you read my archives of blogs, my husband and I have had date nights since our kids were super, super little. We would go away, and we'd go on trips, and we just always made sure that we kept our own life going. And we didn't have weekends where we stayed home all the time for them. We would get a babysitter for Friday night and go out on Friday night, and we just always did stuff. And I think that has helped us tremendously because we didn't have this big, oh, who are you moment that we were already doing stuff. But now that we are on our own as a couple, I think we we're both like, I mean, not only are we just happy to meet up for The Voice or something, you know, like at night, like ooh, let's watch our show, holding hands. That's our big thing now. That's our big. But we just like to hang out with each other. We like to do the same things, and so I feel really, really lucky to be celebrating 30 years. And actually, I moved in with him 5 years before that, so it's 35 years we've been together. That is a long, long time. You know, when I was super small, I mean, 5 probably, and I've told this story. My mother had her horoscope read, and they told her that I would be an actress. So I don't know if that was the seed that was planted, or if I'm just saying that happened. Yes, then they. But I mean, I remember as a tiny kid, I was very precocious and wore costumes. Always put things together. Always costumes, and we would do the sheet up shadow movies or whatever. And all through school, 4th, 5th grade, whatever, I would write. I would do anything to not do a real assignment. So I would say, I'll do a play. So I would write it and get my friends cast, and we'd do plays. So it really was my whole life. And as a kid, you know, I had a single mom, so there wasn't extra money, and I got a job back when you could, at 14 at Taco Bell, to make enough money to pay my sister to drive me to the acting classes that I paid for. So it just was always what I wanted to do. And then I think and luckily it worked out where I've got this job that's gone on for 30 years, which is such a blessing. And every single day I go to Days of Our Lives, I say thank you, because, gee, that's my daughter calling Dolly. And I always am just like, thank you. I don't take one day for granted of what a blessing it's been given to me in my life, having that. And I'm also, I think if you are a creative person, that's why I garden, that's why I cook, that's why I do all these things, because it's a creative energy that I have, and I have to do that. So if it wasn't acting, maybe I would be a musician or something, but I don't think I had the discipline for anything else. I also can say that I have so many times that I have been lulls in the action, I call them. I think that's always a hard thing to deal with, also because, I mean, it's funny as an actor, like, if you're not working, you feel kind of like a failure. So it's just a complicated thing. Like, I like to be a contributor. I think that also comes from being raised by a single mom, that I feel like I have to be hustling all the time, and I just want to contribute financially too. And it's funny, I heard this lady on the radio. She's a radio program, and somebody said something about her making a lot of money. She goes, I honestly don't know how much I make, because my husband gets a check, and I mean, I know how much I make, but it is the truth that my checks have always gone. I'm incorporated, so it always goes to my husband. He deals with it. I'm still going, honey, do you have $10? Can I have $10? Like, nothing's different, but I just feel so much better being a contributor and into my life and my family. And I joke that it gives me more places to talk, because that's really what it does. I talk. But when there's a lull in the action, I swear I will last one day, and then I get going. Like, I sign up for cooking classes, or I whatever it is, go find a play to do, find something, because I know that idle time does not make me happy, and I want to have more creative outlets. So I encourage everybody to find those people who sit around and think, like we were talking about earlier about being bored. Like, bored is only an excuse for yourself, because there's no reason. This is the one thing that you actually can control. You can, whatever it is, become a dog walker. I mean, there's a million things to do, but to sit home and do nothing and be sad and be miserable and be bored, you only have yourself to blame. So get moving. Well, you know, in the old days, every time I went on an airline or something, I always got bumped to first class. That was so fun. My husband and I believe were like, oh my God, we're going to first class, which doesn't happen at all anymore. But if I leave Southern California, LA area, it happens more. Because I think here, everybody's so jaded. I mean, I'm such a small fish. And here, too, I mean, I go to the same exact places all the time. People are sick of seeing me. They don't care. But if I go to, you know, an airport in Ohio or something, it's just so odd. They're not so used to seeing actors or whatever. Then you become like a, you know, whoa, whatever. There are probably people who stare. Maybe they recognize me now, but I just don't pay attention and whatever. So I would say generally not, or I don't notice. But I'll be with people that might tell me so-and-so's, you know, I think that person notices you or recognizes you, and I'll be like, oh, I just don't pay attention. Well, we just watched Ray Donovan, but that just ended the season. I like that, although I think every last character on there is so damaged and just kind of a disaster. I never leave happy after watching that show. And that's the thing now is, like I said, with my husband, I love to meet up for The Voice or whatever. We have like the shows, you know, that we follow and seem like it was the, whatever they were, I can't remember now, Boardwalk Empire or something, and then they end, and then we're always like, oh, I want to have a show now. But, and then my husband and I, funny, we watched a Bachelorette for like 3 seasons, or Bachelor, Juan Pablo and whatever, which was really because our daughter came over and said, oh, I have to watch the finale, you guys have to watch it. And we're just like, oh brother, and then before you know it, we watched like the next 2 seasons, and she wasn't even over here. We're like, you know, you're kind of yelling at the screen, whatever. But I do love The Voice, actually. I think The Voice is really good, and I like all their camaraderie and their teams and all that, so that's fun. We're kind of looking for a new show now, because Ray Donovan just ended, and we haven't had any, so we're searching around. I mean, I do think it would be really incredible to do. I mean, this just didn't happen for me, and I don't really care one way or the other. But to be in a movie, to do a movie, if you were like Nicole Kidman, or if you were somebody and had the lead and had an amazing director, and I mean all those things that happen when you have that kind of, you're at that spot in your life. Because so much of what I've done now, it's great because we have Albert Alar. He's really directing the show. I mean, not directing, but, you know, overseeing the acting, giving us notes and stuff. But so much of what I've done has been a wing and a prayer, you know, and I've often thought, like, God, maybe I'd be really good if I had, like, really incredible direction. And that's what I think you get when you get, like, these top movies with top directors, and they spend months, and you do a take, like, 50 times. I mean, I do one take. And after one take, what are you hanging everybody up for, you know? So I have thought that would be really cool. And I think you would probably only get that in doing the movies. That you don't get, you know, even on primetime, you get direction, but it's not like that. It's not like, I mean, not that I would want to be in that Eyes Wide Shut movie that they spent like a year trying to do, and it's also weird. But they obviously worked on these scenes at great length, and just to have a director right in the mix and really bringing stuff out of you, and I mean that would be a really great experience. I doubt that's going to happen, but I think that would be really cool.
Do you think you get a little bit of that direction when you do theater?
Yes. In fact, when I did things with Johnny Coppola, that's what I loved about it, and that's one of the reasons I did it, was because I just thought I was so kind of starving for real direction or picking things apart, and he was great at that. I mean, we did it so many different ways, and that was so fun. I would leave there really fulfilled, because that really is the creative process. And that, again, was in a lull in my acting life where I'm like, okay, I gotta go get a play. I gotta go work on my chops. And what happens, and what people would find if they get going, is it sort of breeds more of it. Like the busier and more creative you are, the more creative things that you'll get. And I would then go from having nothing to do, having too much to do. And that always seemed to happen in those cycles. And it's because your whole energy changes, I think. But those were great experiences too, because I did actually you have 6 weeks. I mean, you know, it's so funny because on daytime in fact, I had a time last week where we had a whole set to do. We do things a lot by sets. And they were over time, they were like over the time budget or something. And so they said, we're going to pick that up later. And I was thinking, we don't normally ever do that. And then, so they didn't do it. That was like on Thursday. We've just had the whole last week off, and we're coming back tomorrow. I'm doing it. And even when I didn't do it then, I thought, this is a total drag, because I already learned it, and I know I'm not going to retain it, so I had to basically learn it again. So that part was kind of junky. But I think that's the best part of doing theater. And movies is to have that kind of direction. I've never had my chart read, but that would probably be fun. Actually, I'd like to do that. Lee McCloskey, a guy that I used to work with on General Hospital, he was into all that. In fact, I think he did my chart for me. I don't know whatever happened to it, and I don't think he told me enough about it. But And like I said, my mother had her horoscope read and whatever. But so I don't know what I like a lot of things, like religion for me. I grab onto the things I like, and that in Pisces, like I have such a thing about the water, about the ocean. Like when we go sailing, we went this weekend. I said to my husband, "I'm so happy here. I'm almost like a baby in the car seat in the back. I just so relaxed. I'm so happy." And the beach has always been a soothing place for me. I love water. I don't know if I could really live in a state that didn't have water. I think that'd be really hard for me. We're in a drought here, but there is water out there. But so that part. But if as far as the horoscope thing, I'm very all over the place and happy person and da 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 da. And two of my children are born a couple days around mine. I mean, my daughter's the 9th and my son is the 3rd. I would say they're nothing like me. So unless they have not that they're not happy. They are happy. They're all those things. I'm not saying they're not. I don't say, but their personalities are so different than mine. And like my son is so practical. I'm not practical. And my daughter is so likes her ducks in a row and planned and orderly and predictable. Loves predictability. I don't have any foresight. I don't know what I'm doing an hour from now at all, actually. I'm going to figure that one out. No, but I don't. And I don't, so I don't know if, they must have all different rising signs or something or other because we're nothing alike. So if it's true, I don't know. But I do like the water and I'm a Pisces. And sometimes I do feel like I'm swimming in different directions. I am an absolute Cabernet drinker. In fact, we were out with my daughter this weekend, and the guy offered her a Pinot Noir, I guess it's a red wine, and she said, "Oh yes, great." And I tasted it, and I just like, ugh. I really, really, really like cabs, and I have found my husband loves wine too, and he buys different vintages, but he doesn't like decisions. He doesn't like to give it up, so he collects. But when I'll say, "Let's drink that," he'll be like, "Oh, I don't know, like I need to wait on that one," But I always find that there's this one brand, Camus, and I went to the vineyard. I always every time I drank it, I never had a fuzzy head or a headache the next day. I always felt good. And when I went to the vineyard, they said they have less tannins in their wine, and I think that's why. So I always feel better when I drink Camus, so that's usually what I go for. And we even bought like a case of this year, which is not really this year, but it's the anniversary, maybe it's a couple years old. And we were going to put it away for 10 years or something or other, but it was all the wine we had. So anytime we got to dinner, we would take wine with us, and it became out of this case of new wine, and we ended up drinking the whole thing, so it tasted just as good, the new stuff. But I love a good Cabernet, and I just think it gives me less headaches if I go for the tannins. White wine gives me a headache. Champagne gives me a headache. I mean, I just don't seem to like the light grape for some reason. But I do love wine. I try not to drink on weeknights. That's my thing, because I think it makes you puffy. So I don't do it when I have to work the next day, because I'm old now and I'm trying to hang in there. But yeah, red wine. Not long. When I was a little kid, I had these 2 stepbrothers that called me Pester, because I would just be like, at them all the time or whatever. And we would go on car trips. And my mother she never did it, I don't think, but she would say she had Scotch tape in the glove compartment if she was going to have to tape my mouth shut if I wouldn't stop talking. Or I remember my siblings would try to give me, like, I'll give you a quarter if you don't talk for this amount of time or something. So I must have been such a talker back then, because I remember all those events. And like I joke that I like to go to work to talk, and I can talk a lot, but my husband isn't as big a talker. And he, in the morning especially, he's a way more slow morning waker-upper than me. And if he comes down and I've already been up for 10 minutes with my coffee, I swear I'd be like, he'd be like, "Can I have a minute?" But, so I have learned over the years to let the morning sit a little bit. And I go slow on him. I like to try to be kind to him, to not, be all over him. But I can be quiet. I can. But I'm generally, everybody thinks of me as a big talker, I think. I just want to say thank you to Sandy Coco for writing in these great questions. And it was a great comment, and gave us a lot to think about, to talk about. So I hope I answered all the things that you wanted me to. And Thank you, and everybody send in more, and we'll keep trying to do these video blogs periodically to answer your questions. Okay, thanks.